Hey there, folks. Hope you're doing well today. The Department of War recently called for a sweeping review of military legal departments. And this is a red flag, right? When they're trying to restructure oversight during a period of geopolitical escalation, which appears to be war. And you combine that with the evidence that keeps piling up that demonstrates that America might have committed a war crime in bombing a school of children. We thought this was important and something that we should cover. Let's dive in.
We've ripped out the woke distractions, slashed the red tape, and put every asset back into winning wars. But one area still needs a hard reset, and that's how we do legal support in this department. For too long, over 20 years, legal shops across the services have grown bloated, duplicative, they've muddied lines of authority and pulled critical judge advocates away from what matters most: advising commanders in the fight, on operations, in deployed environments where seconds and minutes count. And that's unacceptable.
Okay, now throughout this message, we're going to see a heavy emphasis on combat readiness and lethality. That's concerning because it shows intention. It shows, hey, we need to be combat ready and very lethal. When there's such a focus on that, that means there's a focus on war. There's also this emphasis on speeding up legal authorization for military action, and that's somewhat understandable. We're dealing with rapid strikes and drone warfare and cybersecurity operations. These are escalations that require immediate executive decisions. But at the same time, we need to make sure those decisions are legal and not literal war crimes. I mean, you actually have warmongers from Bush's administration calling out this administration. Lawrence Wilkerson, he was Colin Powell's chief of staff, and he was one of the people who actually helped sell the U.S. public on the Iraq War. He's speaking out against it. The people who actually started the last never-ending war are saying, hey, wait, let's take a look.
This administration has committed more war crimes in the last few days than I think any country since Adolf Hitler committed. And that is an incredible condemnation of this entire process. We have bombed civilians relentlessly. We have bombed a school. We have bombed a hospital. We have struck facilities in the nature of Iran's oil capacity that is now putting black poison all over 10 plus million people. And we are essentially not bombing ballistic missile sites and bombing war materiel. We're bombing people.
And so you got to remember, this is one of the people that advocated for the Iraq War. If anyone should understand outcomes and consequences, it's this guy. George Bush Sr. died in 2018. He did not see troops removed from Afghanistan. And granted, Bush Sr. did not start the war in Afghanistan, but instead in Iraq. But again, it was a never-ending conflict that we kept saying, well, maybe we should do some more. Nonetheless, let's hear more about these plans.
But right now, military lawyers are sometimes stuck doing civilian side work that belongs to general counsels instead. And that drains readiness and leaves gaps where we can't afford to have them. And that's why today I'm directing the service secretaries, the Army, Navy, and Air Force, through their general counsels and JAGs and the SGA to the Commandant, to execute a ruthless, no excuses review. Scrub it clean. Cut duplication and bureaucracy. Clarify roles and reporting. No more moral ambiguity.
And so there you have it. It looks like it's really this kind of Doge audit, which Pete himself describes as ruthless. But in the next clip, we hear him get more specific on what he wants legal counsel to focus on going forward.
But the priority is maximum support to the warfighter. And this includes reviewing active, reserve, and guard components. Are we using reserve civilian talent smartly? Is guard legal education prepping folks for the full spectrum of operations? Everything gets measured against one standard. Does it make us more lethal in competition, in crisis, or in combat?
Okay, and so there's that tone again around lethality. And if I was in the National Guard and he's talking about how lethal I am, I'd be a little concerned right now, as that's an indicator that he probably wants me to go to war. He alludes to that a couple of different ways. We see him talking about reviewing active reserve and how well they're being trained. And again, the real concern here is that this is all happening, this restructuring during this period of war with Iran. And this could go far beyond just reviewing reservists. As we hear Wilkerson here continue on about how this is going to be a very long conflict. Let's take a look.
This is a war with long legs. Trump has completely misinterpreted it. The only one who's interpreted it correctly is Bibi Netanyahu, and I think he's ready to use a nuclear weapon should it become as bad as it looks like it might right now, because Iran has not even begun to shoot its most sophisticated missiles.
Okay, and so we see him take the clip in a couple of different directions, talking about how things can escalate even more, and also introducing this idea that Iran hasn't even started to use its most deadly weapons. You have to remember, for so many years, everyone has been arguing that they should have 15 or 14 different nukes. And so as we're seeing play out in real time, all of this is risky business. You need to have very good intelligence. You need to have strategy. You need to have plans in place. And I mean, the level of incompetency couldn't be more on display. When you take out the people that you intended to replace the leader with, and you do it intentionally, I mean, just putting aside this whole idea that you're backseat driving someone else's country, yeah, they're going to be fine with this here. And so, again, it's so easy to land on this idea every video that your vote matters. It's important. If you vote wrong, it could very well put Americans in harm's way. It could very well put your children in the draft.